I want to personally apologize to Natalie Bennett because I used some very harsh statements and some very rude language. And that wasn't right. And I want to apologize to him for that. Mr. Bennett has actually been a very strong Zionist most of the time that I've known him. Very strong Zionist. And for that, he deserves more respect. And I didn't give him that respect he deserves. So I need to get that out of the way. Now, why did I call this meeting and what I want to talk about? I want to talk about your election. I've been doing this for 40 years, since Begin. And only one reason. We're called defenders of Zion. We are Zionists, right through to our gut. My base will give their life for the Jewish people. We are Zionists to our core. Every bit of our blood is Zionist. We believe it, eat it, we sleep it, we dream it. Your election next Monday is not an election for a unity party or a Likud party. It's a vote for or against Zionism. You're not being attacked anymore for being Jews. They're too clever. They attacked you for being a Zionist. So now you have to make a decision, State of Israel. What are we going to do? Will we surrender and apologize for being Zionist? Because now we have an anti-Zionist Arab party as one of our partners. Hallelujah. The Messiah is going to come. And we also have post-Zionist leaders, such as, well, I could name half a dozen of them. So we got post-Zionist and anti-Zionist, and we call it a unity government. Kumbaya. Isn't that wonderful? So what are you going to wave after the election's over? You're going to wave a white flag to radical Islam of surrender, not a blue and white flag, a white flag. Because you're so blinded by your hatred, by your pity politics, and your obsessions with power that you can't see the trees for the forest. If you surrender the core foundation of your nation, which is Zionism, to appease Jew haters, you will do it at Israel's peril. It's going to be as simple as that. Are you going to vote for Zionism, or are you going to vote against Zionism? I vote against it. I'm going to shorten this because I don't want to keep you here too long and get right to the point on a couple of things that are very important. Is the unity government a vote for Zionism? You have to decide that. I can't vote. But I don't get to vote. The seven-seater wants to be your prime minister. I meet with a lot of world leaders. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You've got a prime minister right now that isn't a likable fella. His father wasn't likable either. His father threw me out of the house and called me a moron because I couldn't speak Hebrew. You're a moron. I don't care how many books you wrote. You're a moron. You could have learned it in 4 months. You're a moron. He wasn't very likable either. So you got a prime minister who's not so likable. But I'll tell you one thing. The power brokers of the world trust him. So Israelis don't trust him. Good luck. Tell it to Putin when seven-seater calls. Who's calling? I don't know the guy's name. I only know he's a seven-seater. Seven-seater just called. I don't have time for no seven-seater. You will never. You can't do this alone. Your nation became a superpower under the leadership of Benjamin Netanyahu, an economic giant. How did you get peace with more Muslim countries than all prime ministers combined? How? I know how. Because I'm the guy who briefed the White House. I briefed the White House 2 years before the Abrahamic Accord even happened at the Waldorf Astoria. I briefed them after meeting with Muslim leaders, and I told them this. It was 218, I believe that's correct. I told them this. You're going to have peace with 5 to 6 Arab countries. And by the way, I think that was the month of October. The next month, November, I said it in the Jerusalem Post Summit. And they said, why? Jason Greenblatt said, wow, how can this happen? David Friedman, how can this happen? Arvi Berkowitz, how can this happen? I said, Bibi Netanyahu. What? TTP. TTP. What is that? Some insecticide? Anti-terror technology for peace. The Muslim leaders were telling me they trusted Bibi Netanyahu, and he's the one that brought that peace, not Donald Trump. I was on Donald Trump's team. We let him get the credit because we wanted him to be reelected. But nobody said thank you to Bibi Netanyahu. He really did it. It's the God-honest truth. It's the God-honest truth. Oh, by the way, speaking of the God-honest truth, when I flew in to brief them, I just met with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And the last word I said to him was, I'm meeting with Bibi Netanyahu tomorrow. Is there anything you want me to tell him? He said, yeah, tell him thank you. Think of it. The Crown Prince, the heir to the throne, wants to say thank you to Bibi Netanyahu. Yet the Israelis don't. We don't want to thank you for anything. So you're going to have an election and you're going to decide the destiny of the nation over the Kool-Aid. And who's going to lead you to the promised land? Are you going to take a flawed man? Indeed, he's a flawed man. And by the way, speaking of flawed men, a little secret. King David was 10 times more flawed. And God called him a man after his own heart. Take it up with God. It's not my problem. Would you do that to King David? Would you say to King David, screw you. We want you out of here. We don't give a blank what God thinks about you. He can call you a man over. We don't like you. We've made our decision. The entire world, Knesset ministers will be watching you. And you're going to have to wave a flag, a white one or a blue and white one. I'm ending this by saying something that's very important. In these meetings that I've had with and by the way, why should they meet with me? I mean, I am a Christian Zionist, and we do have 77 million of them, but I don't get a vote. Would you just get humored? Oh, did we do anything for you? Yeah, try the recognition of Jerusalem. I can give you 20 things we did for you. And what do we get for that? What do we get for that? Nobody asks us our opinion. You didn't get this from the Jewish community in America. You got it from evangelicals. Donald Trump wouldn't have given you one thing in 4 years if it wasn't for us. Donald Trump showed up in Jerusalem on Jerusalem Day and didn't recognize Jerusalem. I had 220 billboards up and said, Trump, make Israel great. I had a leader, I don't want to say his name, who said to me, he's not going to do it. He's not going to recognize Jerusalem. I said, relax. We have an enormous power over him. It's going to happen and a whole lot more. So I'm going to tell you something. We evangelicals, we don't have any illusions about Bibi Netanyahu's mistakes or faults or imperfections. But we do care about this bird very much. And caring about this bird is causing us to be passionate. We look at your nation and we say, where are you going in the next 12 months, the next year or two? You're on the train. You can't get off. You got a guy's going to say, I'll take you to the promised land. You got a freaking mushroom cloud with the same team that Obama had that wants that. Do you think anyone's going to stand up like Bibi Netanyahu did? Forget it. It won't be happening in your lifetime. Now I'll end this by saying this. I've been meeting with these MKs all day long. And I've talked to 4 of them who told me they will bail. They will bail. They're only waiting for the first one to lead. They said, we're not standing with this unity party, with Arab anti-Zionists. We're not going to support it. We're coming out of it, but we don't want to be the first one. So once the first one breaks, 3 more are going to be right behind them. Bibi Netanyahu's death was greatly exaggerated. We're not, Shimon Peres was my hero. I loved him dearly. And we are not into this thing to promote Bibi Netanyahu. There's one thing, I'll close with this. I said to my wife when I married her, I got to be honest with you, there's another woman in my life that I love more than you. What? Yeah. I got to be with her. I have to be with her all the time. Her name is Israel. She looked at me, she said, what? I said, I swear to God, I'm so in love with this woman, I got to be with her a lot. Okay, honey, I'll sign on to that. But if she ever calls me on the phone, I'm going to kill you. Well, she never called me on the phone. I'm done talking, so if you have any questions, please feel free. Yes, ma'am.
Well,
Why don't you identify who you are and your name?
my name is Judy Walsh. I work for Haaretz newspaper. I'm the woman with the beauty face.
I think,
I have a few questions for you.
yeah, give her a mic, because she needs to be on. Let them bring you a mic.
Okay. Can you hear?
Yeah, we can
A
hear
few
you fine.
questions for you. First of all, I think you're a little confused. You keep talking about this election we have. We had an election more than 3 months ago, and most of the people in this country voted for parties that do not support your friend, Bibi Netanyahu. So I want to know what you have to say about that.
Well, you're giving me
And
a...
wait
a second. You're a journalist. Don't give me a lecture. Ask your question.
I'm not.
I'm a
I asked,
journalist,
what
too.
do you say about that? Are you saying that
You have
how
another
the people
one?
of this country
Listen.
voted doesn't count? Is that what
you
you're
have another
saying?
one?
Yeah, I have a bunch of questions.
No, you're
That-
going to get 2.
Okay, so number 2, you keep talking about the dangers of this new government and mentioning the fact that there's an anti-Zionist Arab party that will be part of it. But your friend, Bibi Netanyahu, was also negotiating with that same anti-Zionist Arab party, and I'd like to get some comment from you on that as well.
Well,
Thank you.
let me just say this. You're an Israeli, aren't you?
Yeah, of course.
I've been coming here for 40 years, going to funerals, hundreds of them, during unity governments. Unity governments, we're going to unite everyone. Unity governments. She said, my daughter, I couldn't find her. The only thing I could find was, I did her nails that morning. Unity governments produce widows and orphans, making big, grandiose promises because they didn't have the strength to stand up to the devils. Listen, you think it's popular for me to do what I'm doing? I'm getting the living blank kicked out of me by my own people, insulting me. Are you a nut job? Why would you want to get involved in this fight? You're not even Israeli. Because I'm tired of going to funerals. I'm tired of going to funerals. Somebody else.
I don't think you've answered my question.
Then good, I'm not going to answer it.
Yeah, David Sidman, Israel 365 News. We appreciate that you apologized to Naftali Bennett, and obviously we appreciate all the support that Christian Zionists give Israel.
Yeah.
But a threat you made still stands, saying that you will fight the Israeli government every step of the way.
No, I didn't say that. Let me get what I said. That's good.
I have
That's
a
good.
direct quote.
No, I'll give you the exact quote.
I'm reading
Here,
it.
I know what I said. I'll tell. Can I
Okay.
give it to you?
Of course.
Okay. Here's what I said. Bibi Netanyahu, unfortunately, it's probably unfortunate, but it's the truth, is the only man in the world that unites evangelicals. Donald Trump didn't. He united some of us, not all of us. Bibi Netanyahu has united us for a very, very long time. The evangelicals are going to stand with Bibi Netanyahu. The evangelicals are not two-staters. They're not going to
I
support...
don't think Naftali Bennett is either.
But I can tell you, a whole lot of people in that unity government are. And you know that too. Now, here's what I said. If Bibi Netanyahu goes in the opposition, we evangelicals, my 77 million, will go into the opposition with him. We'll still support the state of Israel, but we're not going to have the same position we've had because we won't have trust. And trust is everything. That's it. Another question. Yes, sir.
Mordechai Kedar from Newsrael.
Yes, sir.
Technically, after being banned from Facebook, what do you plan? How would you plan your...
Well, that's a good question.
77 million.
I spent $100 million building the biggest social network campus in the state of Israel because a genius, not me, a genius, Shimon Peres, told me over 30 years ago, the new wars of the 21st century were going to be ideological wars of ideas. And 40% of the world will not watch cable television or newspaper. So I built the campus to wage war with ideas. Now, Zuckerberg just dropped an atomic bomb on us. Yes, he's damaged us. We will sue him, and we'll win. But how long it will take? Might take us a year or two. Ultimately, we're going to win. But that 2 years or 1 year, 77 million Zionists can't pray together. They can't pray together. And by the way, the Jerusalem Prayer Team is also a church. My son's the pastor of it. It's the largest church in the world. We have over 1 million members. They can't even worship anymore. They can't read scriptures together because little God has decreed that we are guilty. Now, I don't know if little God, what he decreed. I don't even know, honestly, if Zuckerberg had anything to do with this. He might have been on vacation. But Facebook did it. Anybody else?
Dr. Evans,
Yes, sir.
hear me? So, there's one of the main concepts of Israel in terms of the connection with America is to be bipartisan. And you're saying that the evangelicals, at least the group that you represent, will be part of the opposition. What if you see acts that you agree with, acts that you support? And what do you mean when you say, I will fight you every step of the way? You've lost the support of evangelicals 100%. And we're talking about a person who's connected to the biblical ideas of the land of Israel. We're talking about 3 parties that are from the right, 2 other parties that are for central and call for sovereignty in Jordan Valley and act very, very strongly for the right of Israel. Many of these parties, many of these represent
You are right
this.
about that.
So why don't you just, at this point, what do you mean to
Let
do?
me give more clarification. Thank you. Number one, let's take an example. Mr. Bennett has, in fact, been very, very strong Zionist against the two-state solution. So let's say Mr. Bennett comes one day and says, you know what, I think it's a two-state solution. I can tell you this. I met with 2 MKs today in this hotel who told me it's over. The day he does that, we're out. We're going to throw out the government. Now, that encouraged me. I thought, God bless those 2. It's not that bad. And Bennett
He would say that too.
Huh?
He would say that about himself as well.
Exactly. So you are right. Now, if Bennett takes positions that we support, we'll support him. Here's the problem. I probably am not a good spokesman right now because I had the living hell beat out of me these last 2 weeks by Facebook. I haven't slept more than 2 hours a night. I was here, how much, a week ago? 2 weeks ago, near? Yeah. And no sleep for 4 days because of this threat. So I'm probably a lousy spokesperson right now. I flew in last night. I'm flying out tonight. But I'm doing my best under the circumstance. We love Israel, and we're not going to turn on Israel, no, sir. Somebody else? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. And, yeah, one more.
Hi, sorry, my name is Nicole Jansian. I work for All Israel News with
Yeah.
Joel Rosenberg. I just, we've run several stories. There's much of the evangelical world does not agree with your position.
Well, you're not correct. You're not correct because much of the evangelical world is us. When you've got 77 million followers, how many does Joel have?
But how do you know that all of your...
Excuse me. I'm asking you a question. How many does Joel have?
How do you know...
Pardon me. You can't...
77 million
You won't answer the question?
actually
You won't answer the question?
with you?
Will you answer the question?
Well, I don't know.
Well, then
I
go
don't have
find
the
out.
answer.
It's probably a few 100,000. Listen, Joel's a good guy, and I know Joel, but I don't represent 90% of the evangelicals of the world. Do not. Zippo, only about 10%. The 10% I represent on steroids. I didn't build a $100 million campus because they're not supporting what I'm doing. You don't see anybody in Israel delivering those kind of funds. I'm done.
Damaged relations between Christians and the Jewish state of Israel?
Are you kidding me? Tell that to Dietrich Bonhoeffer or Corrie ten Boom during the Holocaust. You think they damaged relationships for standing up for the Jewish people against Jew haters? I showed you these demonic attacks. Now, if 2.1 million attacks, these get Jews killed. You only have to believe one of them. Rabbi Goldstein, you know who he is in San Diego, Poway? I'm the guy who provided the security for 24 hours a day for his synagogue for the next year. One idea almost got him killed and got a lady killed. So we believe there's an ideological war. We're fighting it. We're proud of it. And we're not apologizing. You're done. Anybody else?
I have one more question.
Yeah.
If your worst nightmare comes true and this new unity government is formed, how will you respond to that? Is that it? You're done with Israel?
No. I'm not going away. I promised Menachem Begin. He asked me to build a bridge. No, I said it wrong. I asked him if I could build the bridge. He laughed at me and said, "You want to build the Brooklyn Bridge?" No. I said a bridge between Christian Zionists and Jewish Zionists. He said, "I'd like it. Let's do it together." So I made him some promises, and I haven't broke one of my promises. We're going to stand with the Jewish people. You know, my wife said to me when I left, she said, "Honey, you're getting a lot of death threats. You got your guns loaded?" I said to her, "Baby, I got my spiritual guns loaded." I said, "If they show up in my door to put a bullet between my eye, I'll have the biggest smile on my face, because I would consider it an honor to give my life for God's chosen people. And don't send anybody to their funeral to grieve over me. Celebrate it, that I had the courage to do the right thing." I'm driven because of my father and what he did to my mother. And I'm not going to back down for anybody. Thank you so much.
Do you think just one question? Do you think you'll see?
Who you met with today, representatives of what party?
I am not telling you anything because I gave them my word I would keep my mouth shut.
But do you feel that there will be results from what you talked to them and everyone was nice and everything? But do you feel that there will be results from your activities now?
I can only tell you that 4 of them said they're ready to bolt and they're waiting for the first one. And they said it's all going to come over the Arabs in the party. They said the first one that bolts, 3 more are going to be right behind them. They don't want to be the first one. Hey, listen, guys, I've been up. I got a fight to catch.
If Netanyahu gets a bus to back his government, will you continue supporting Netanyahu?
Excuse me?
If Netanyahu gets the Arab Party to back his government, will you continue supporting Netanyahu?
You know what? I probably would, and I'll tell you why. Because Netanyahu is as dumb as a fox, and there's no way in the world he's going to be screwed by the Arab Party. Good night. Thank you so much.